Welcome back. So today we're diving into a topic that, on the surface, sounds pretty simple: empathy. But we're really putting it under the microscope. We're synthesizing the research on clinical empathy and effective communication.
And what's so fascinating here is that we're moving past the idea of empathy as just, a nice-to-have soft skill.
Exactly.
We're framing clinical empathy as a critical core ability. It's the capacity to experience and share feelings, but also to really understand someone else's perspective.
Yeah.
Our job here is to give you the why and the how.
Okay, so let's start with the definition this research gives us. Clinical empathy, or CE, is a healthcare worker's ability to acknowledge the emotions and situations of the patient.
And their family. That's a key part.
Right, and their family.
Okay.
It demands careful listening, non-judgmental behavior, and deliberate emotional support.
And this is more than just being polite. It's a commitment. The reading makes it so clear that CE has to be both a skill and really a lifestyle to build that doctor-patient relationship.
And the benefits are huge.
They're measurable and massive.
Yeah.
Clinical empathy builds trust. It promotes a collaborative, patient-centered approach.
Okay, those are benefits you might expect, but here's the game changer, the thing that really stood out to me.
Go on.
Those improvements translate directly into tangible safety outcomes.
Yeah.
The research shows that effective clinical empathy actively reduces medical error.
Actively reduces it. And critically, it also reduces malpractice claims.
That's incredible.
It is. And on the flip side, that trusting relationship boosts treatment adherence. When patients feel heard, they actually follow through.
Which, of course, improves the whole course of treatment.
And leads to much better healthcare outcomes.
Okay, so those benefits, especially reduced malpractice and medical errors, if empathy is this demanding, how do practitioners even deliver it consistently without completely burning out?
That is the key question. And that's where the nuance comes in. It's about knowing when to use the two distinct types of empathy. So first, we have cognitive empathy. This is the ability to understand a patient's feelings, their emotions, without actually undergoing or internalizing that suffering yourself.
So it's like a professional understanding, but without taking on that personal burden.
Precisely. And then you have the other side, which is effective empathy.
And
That's where you understand the patient's feelings as if they are your own emotions, your own suffering. It involves real internalization.
that sounds exhausting.
It can be. And managing that personal cost is exactly why understanding this cognitive versus affective split is so essential for a long career.
So that difference is the bridge to the next point then, how you actually apply the skill set in the room.
Exactly. Empathy is the keystone of effective communication. The goal is to be patient, respectful, non-threatening, and non-judgmental.
Let's break down that communication piece.
Okay, so with active listening, for instance, it's more than just not talking. You have to reduce one-way talk, sure, remove distractions, but you also have to rephrase the message back.
To confirm you got it right.
You have to validate understanding and ensure correctness. Close that communication loop.
And it's not just the verbal side. Your materials really stress the nonverbal communication piece.
Oh, absolutely. The nonverbal components are so critical. We're talking about facial expression, eye contact, and even body position.
What do you mean by body position?
The research says it's preferred to be at the patient's level. Physically meeting them where they are, whether they're sitting in a chair or lying in a bed.
Instead of standing over them.
Right. Your research also stressed the power of empathetic touch.
Yeah, that was fascinating.
A simple, judicious hand on the shoulder can dramatically change the whole interaction and even boost patient recall of information.
So, to sort of wrap this all up, clinical empathy is a measurable skill. It's not some vague, fuzzy feeling. It has these profound, practical outcomes.
Reduced errors, better adherence. It's not a footnote in a textbook. It's absolutely central to effective care.
A really powerful tool.
Which brings up an important question for you to consider. If cognitive empathy lets a doctor understand suffering without internalizing it, how might a practitioner judiciously use both cognitive and affective approaches? How do you balance them to optimize that patient connection while at the same time maintaining your own well-being and, professional longevity?
Finding that balance.
Think about that. That's your deep dive for the week.
Welcome back to the Deep Dive. So today we are plunging into, well, a pretty unavoidable topic for everyone: the physiology of aging.
It really is.
We've got a great stack of research here, all focused on the cellular level, on what's actually happening inside our bodies. The goal is to give you a really quick but a precise understanding of that constant war between damage and defense.
Yeah, our mission here is to get past the surface level stuff. We want to break down the foundational mechanisms. What's really driving that progressive decline we all eventually face?
So what's the formal definition we're working from?
Well, the sources define aging as a progressive decline in physiological function. And it's all due to cumulative cellular damage, some genomic instability, and just a decreased capacity to regenerate.
Okay, so that sounds very textbook.
It is, but it basically means your body's ability to maintain balance, what we call homeostasis, is diminished, and that makes you more vulnerable to disease.
Right. Let's try to make that stick for you, the listener. Imagine your cells are like a really complex factory. The whole problem of aging, it really boils down to three things.
Okay.
First, you've got this increasing, let's call it pollution, coming from the factory's power source. Second, the assembly instructions themselves, the protective tips, are fraying.
I like that analogy.
And third, the factory just can't keep up with repairing all the resulting damage.
That's a perfect summary. And those three problems are exactly what the research points to: oxidative stress, telomere shortening, and mitochondrial dysfunction.
So let's start with the pollution, the oxidative stress. What's the villain here?
The villain is something called free radicals, or more technically, reactive oxygen species. You'll often see them called ROS.
ROS. This isn't some external toxin we're getting, right? This is an internal thing.
Exactly. It's just an inescapable byproduct of being alive. It accumulates naturally, just from your body doing its daily job of converting food and oxygen into energy.
So metabolism itself creates this problem.
It does. And oxidative stress is the tipping point. It's that moment when the production of these really unstable molecules just completely overwhelms your cell's ability to protect itself.
And what do they damage specifically?
The sources are very clear on this. They attack the absolute fundamentals.
Yeah.
They degrade your DNA, your proteins, the very structure of your cells, and the lipids that make up your cell membranes. This is the real engine of dysfunction.
Okay, so if free radicals are damaging DNA from the outside, let's talk about the second problem, that internal clock. The telomeres.
Right, the fraying of the instruction manual.
How does that fit in?
So telomeres are basically the protective caps on the ends of your chromosomes. Think of them like the little plastic tips on your shoelaces.
So they stop them from unraveling.
Precisely. And with every single cell division, those tips get a tiny bit shorter. And that shortening is a key marker of how old a cell is. Once they get too short, the cell just stops dividing. It enters a state called senescence, which actively contributes to aging tissue.
Now, for me, what's probably the most fascinating part of this research is the vicious cycle with the mitochondria. You really need to pay attention to your aging powerhouses.
Oh, absolutely. It's a feedback loop that just pours fuel on the fire.
Explain that loop.
Okay, so as the mitochondria, our little power factories, take damage from ROS over time, they get less and less efficient. Their energy production line gets sloppy.
And a less efficient factory means what?
It means they start to leak. They produce significantly more ROS themselves. So the very thing being damaged by pollution starts creating even more pollution. It just accelerates everything.
So if these free radicals are the main bad guy and antioxidants are the hero, it begs a pretty obvious question. Why can't we just solve this by, taking a bunch of vitamin E supplements?
That's the million-dollar question, and it's where the real nuance is. Antioxidants do, in fact, neutralize free radicals. They perform that protective role. But the critical issue the research highlights is that our body's own endogenous antioxidant systems, things like glutathione, their levels decrease dramatically as we age.
So even if we're taking in antioxidants from our diet, our internal machinery to actually use them effectively is winding down.
Exactly. The defensive line is just getting thinner and thinner. And that ensures the cumulative damage, the reduced organ function, the higher disease risk, all of that becomes the inevitable outcome.
So the takeaway for you is pretty clear. Aging seems to be this predictable process. It's an imbalance between that constant internal damage from ROS and mitochondria and your body's own dwindling defenses.
It really is that straightforward at its core.
It puts a very sharp focus on the cellular level.
It does. And that brings us to the final thought we want to leave you with. Since we've laid out how free radicals lead to this cascade of failure, the final question is this.
Go on.
If antioxidants are just playing defense, what specific cellular repair mechanisms, beyond simply neutralizing the damage, might be the most valuable target for the future? How do we truly enhance that regenerative capacity we mentioned at the very start?
That is definitely worth pondering. Thanks for diving deep with us.
Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today, our mission is, well, it's pretty straightforward. We want to cut right through the vague advice.
All the noise out there.
Exactly. And figure out what a comprehensive, healthy lifestyle actually requires.
And maybe more importantly, what happens and how quickly it happens when you start to neglect those things.
We're giving you a shortcut to the real science here.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's unpack this. Our sources lay it out very clearly. A healthy life isn't just one thing. It's not just about diet or hitting the gym.
No, not at all. The data shows it's a robust structure.
Defined by 7 crucial components. And they're all treated as equally important.
Exactly. And some of them are the ones everyone knows. Physical activity, quality sleep, good nutrition.
Right, those are the table stakes.
They're table stakes. But the critical insight here is how the sources treat the other 4. They aren't presented as like optional extras. They are physiological requirements.
So what are we talking about?
We're talking dedicated stress management, things like mindfulness or just having hobbies. Also, a solid work-life balance to prevent that cortisol overload we call burnout.
That one's huge for a lot of people.
It is, and maybe the most counterintuitive part is the focus on strong social connections for emotional support.
Yeah, the last one.
And maintaining healthy habits. So strictly avoiding things like heavy smoking or excessive drinking.
So things like social isolation, they're not just bad for your mood.
The sources show they directly impact inflammation markers. I mean, your emotional stability is literally a cardiovascular requirement.
That completely reframes the whole concept, doesn't it? It turns being healthy into this complicated 7-part job.
It really does.
Now, here's where it gets really compelling for me. What happens when we fail at just one, even the most basic one? Physical movement.
Right.
Our sources pivot immediately to this one inevitable consequence.
The sedentary lifestyle.
So tell us precisely what that danger zone looks like.
I mean, the definition is pretty clinical. It's a lifestyle where consistent physical activity is virtually non-existent.
Okay.
But the shocking part is that once you're in that zone, the impact is comprehensive. It's not just a sore back.
It's more than that.
Oh, much more. The lack of movement hits mental health just as hard as your physical health. We're talking a direct contribution to elevated anxiety and even chronic depression.
Hold on. I get the physical risks, but are the findings really suggesting the anxiety from inactivity is as severe as the cardiovascular risk?
It feels like a bold claim, I know.
It really does.
But the physiological connections are concrete. Inactivity kicks off this chain reaction. It destabilizes your body's energy regulation, blood flow, almost immediately.
So let's talk about those pure physical risks.
They compound very, very rapidly. First, you face metabolic issues.
Which is your body just struggling to process energy.
Exactly. And that leads directly to things like obesity and the onset of diabetes.
And that's happening at the same time as other things, right?
Simultaneously, your vascular health starts to have problems. We're talking about rising cholesterol levels and hypertension.
And when those systems start to fail.
The consequences are severe. A major increase in risk for specific cardiovascular diseases like coronary artery disease.
Wow.
A statistically increased risk of cancer development, and ultimately a significantly higher chance of early death.
That synthesis is just incredibly powerful. You start with this comprehensive structure, 7 requirements.
Physical activity, emotional stability, sleep, all of it.
And yet, if you neglect just the simplest piece, just movement, you unleash this rapid cascading system failure.
A total system failure.
This knowledge is your shortcut. It helps you immediately spot where you might be accumulating risk and why you have to maintain all 7 pillars together.
Absolutely. The pillars are completely interdependent, you see. And if we connect this back to the bigger picture for a final thought, the data shows that quality sleep is essential for mental clarity and emotional stability. And we now know that being sedentary can immediately cause anxiety and depression.
Right.
So this raises an important question for you to consider. Which other component of a healthy lifestyle, be it nutrition, social connections, or stress management, do you think would be the most difficult to maintain if you were already experiencing that emotional strain?
Right.
The strain that results directly from an inactive life. Just think about how quickly those other pillars would start to collapse without that foundation of movement.
Welcome back to the Deep Dive. So, when you hear the word meditation, I think a lot of us, we think of something pretty abstract, right?
For sure, maybe something a bit philosophical or, hard to pin down.
Exactly. But for this deep dive, we want to reframe that entirely. We're going to look at it as a physical tool.
A tool you can use to upgrade your body's operating system.
Yeah. Our mission here is really just to cut through all the noise and get to the core of it. What is this tool actually doing to your brain and body?
I think the key insight really is that meditation is a mechanism for what we call self-directed neuroplasticity.
Self-directed neuroplasticity. Okay, can you unpack that a little for us?
Yeah, absolutely. For anyone who needs a quick definition, it's just your brain's ability to physically change itself, to rewire its own structure and function based on a focused experience.
So you're intentionally practicing a neurological change.
You got it. That's precisely what's happening.
Okay, so the formal definition is basically attentional training.
Right. Things like mindfulness or focused attention.
To achieve mental clarity. All right, let's unpack this. How do we get from a quiet mind to, say, a quiet heart? What's the actual physical mechanism kicking in?
Well, the change is almost immediate, and it's systemic. You get this measurable shift in your nervous system's dominance.
A shift from what to what?
You're moving away from the sympathetic side, that's your fight or flight system, and you are intentionally ramping up the parasympathetic side, the rest and digest system.
And this isn't just a temporary feeling of calm, then?
No, not at all. You are actively practicing that wiring change that over time can make that restful state your new default baseline.
In the immediate results, what do you see right away?
The instant physical results are a noticeable drop in your heart rate and your systemic blood pressure. You can see it on a monitor.
So that shift stabilizes the whole nervous system.
Yeah.
But what about our internal chemistry? Long term, we need some proof that this isn't just, psychosomatic.
Absolutely. And we have it. The chemical marker we look at most closely is serum cortisol.
The stress hormone.
The stress hormone, exactly. And regular practice causes a measurable decrease in those levels.
And why does that matter so much?
Well, because high cortisol is what drives chronic inflammation, which does so much long-term damage to the body. So by regulating cortisol, you're actively reducing that inflammation.
And I found this part really surprising, that chemical change has a direct impact on your immunity.
It does. The sources were pretty compelling on this. You see improved activity in your natural killer cells, your NK cells.
Those are the search and destroy units inside you, right?
Basically, yeah. And you even see an enhanced body response to vaccines. You're literally training your body's own internal pharmacy to be more efficient.
Okay, here's where it gets really interesting for me.
Yeah.
Let's transition to the real-world medical applications.
Yeah, this is where the rubber meets the road.
Specifically, how does rewiring the brain help with something like chronic pain?
For chronic pain, the mechanism is fascinatingly specific. Meditation helps to decouple the raw physical sensation of pain from the emotional suffering that so often comes with it.
And where does that happen in the brain?
It happens in the somatosensory cortex. That's the part of your brain that maps physical sensations. So you still register the sensation, but that panic, the distress that can make it so much worse, it gets muted significantly.
And it wasn't just neurological benefits we saw. This is being applied in cardiology, too.
That's right. It's used as an adjunct therapy for essential hypertension.
Which is high blood pressure with no clear medical costs.
Exactly. And it demonstrably reduces the risk of cardiovascular events. It works by improving what we call your overall autonomic tone.
Autonomic tone.
Yeah, you can think of it as the underlying tension or responsiveness of your nervous system. It dictates how quickly your body ramps up into a stress response. Better tone means less volatility.
So what does this all mean? Let's put it all together. We start with this simple act of focused attention. And that practice drives emotional regulation.
Which then leads to that measurable cortisol reduction we talked about.
Right, which builds genuine stress resilience. And that ultimately gets us to these tangible clinical benefits in pain management or cardiovascular health. It's a direct, trainable physical path.
It is, exactly. You're learning how to intentionally modulate your body's most basic and often involuntary systems.
That's a really powerful idea.
It is. And it raises an important question for you, the listener, to think about.
Okay.
If meditation is a tool for this self-directed neuroplasticity, if you can use it to improve things like focus and emotional resilience, what other complex functions, what other systems in your body could this whole concept of self-directed rewiring be applied to?
Something to think about.
Yeah, that's something to think about until our next deep dive.
Welcome back to the deep dive. Today, we're getting into something pretty incredible. the dramatic and frankly instantaneous changes your body makes the moment you start exercising.
It really is.
Our mission is to unpack the mechanics of it all. You know, how your body maintains performance when you suddenly place this huge demand on it.
And the scale of that change is, it's just astonishing. Take cardiac output, the amount of blood your heart pumps per minute.
Right.
When you go from just sitting there to an all-out effort, that output can surge 5, maybe even 7 times higher.
Wow, 5 to 7-fold. That's a serious gear shift.
Yeah.
So let's start there with the cardiovascular side.
Yeah.
The pump. How does the body even kick off that heart rate so fast?
It's a really quick 1-2 punch. First, you get what's called vagal withdrawal.
So like taking the foot off the brake.
Exactly. The body removes the constant slowdown signal, and that's immediately followed by hitting the gas sympathetic stimulation. Adrenaline and noradrenaline flood the system.
Okay, so the engine is revving, but you're also pumping more with each beat.
Right. The stroke volume increases. Your heart muscle, the myocardium, literally contracts more forcefully. It's like a rubber band. The more blood that returns and stretches it, the harder it snaps back.
That sounds incredibly efficient.
Yeah.
But, you know, I think most people assume that means blood pressure just skyrockets everywhere.
You'd think so.
The sources, though, point out that diastolic pressure, the pressure when your heart is relaxed, often stays stable or can even drop a little. How does that work?
Well, that's the really clever part. It's all about strategic blood flow. While your systolic or pumping pressure goes up to drive blood forward, the diastolic pressure stays low because of peripheral vasodilation. The arterioles, the little arteries in your working muscles just open right up.
So you're basically opening up the highways where the traffic needs to go, which keeps the overall pressure from backing up.
Precisely. It lowers the total resistance. But at the same time, your body is performing this ruthless triage elsewhere.
What do you mean?
Sympathetic vasoconstriction. It aggressively clamps down on blood flow to areas that are, let's say, non-essential at that moment.
Like your stomach.
Your stomach, your kidneys, your whole gastrointestinal tract. That heavy feeling you get in your gut during a hard sprint, that's your body literally shutting down services to redirect resources.
Okay, so the blood is flowing. But that brings us to the exchange, the respiratory system. Pulmonary ventilation can jump, what, 20-fold?
Up to 20-fold, yeah. And this is maybe the most fascinating part. The trigger isn't what you'd expect.
It's not because you're running out of air.
No, the ventilation doesn't wait for a crisis. The drive to breathe harder is stimulated before your blood chemistry, like CO2 levels, even changes that much.
So it's preemptive.
Totally preemptive. The signal comes straight from your motor cortex and from sensors in your moving joints and muscles. It's a message saying, hey, big oxygen demand is coming. Start moving air now.
So once all that air is moving, how does the body get so good at actually pulling the oxygen out and delivering it?
2 key boosts. First, your lungs just get way more efficient. The capacity for oxygen to diffuse into the blood triples, mostly because more capillaries in the lungs open up, more surface area.
Okay. And the second?
The second is the Bohr effect. It sounds complicated, but it's brilliant. As your working tissues get warmer, more acidic, and have more CO2.
All the byproducts of working hard.
Exactly. Those conditions make hemoglobin, the molecule carrying oxygen, let go of that oxygen more easily. It essentially makes the delivery system drop the package right where it's needed most.
A true precision delivery system. Okay, let's talk about the final piece. Fuel. Metabolic adjustments. The sources are pretty clear that intensity dictates what you burn.
Oh, absolutely. If you're going for a light jog, your body prefers to oxidize fat. It's efficient for low-intensity stuff.
But when you ramp it up,
As intensity climbs, the body shifts, and it shifts hard toward using carbohydrates. Your stored glycogen becomes the high-octane fuel, and that point where oxygen demand outstrips supply, that's your anaerobic threshold.
which produces lactic acid. And it's not just a waste product causing burn, is it?
No, not at all. It's an active player. It acts as a buffer in the blood. And its production actually signals the brain to keep driving that massive ventilation we talked about. It's all connected.
It really is. So what we have is this seamless integrated feedback loop. From the motor cortex sending the first signal, to the sympathetic discharge, to the blood vessels opening and closing. It all works in harmony.
Flawless integration, all to maintain balanced homeostasis under extreme stress.
So a final thought to leave everyone with.
Well, we just talked about how aggressively the body uses that sympathetic fight-or-flight system to cut off blood flow to the gut and kidneys for performance. Makes you wonder, doesn't it?
About what?
One of the long-term implications, if your everyday stress, not exercise, but work stress, life stress, keeps that same sympathetic system firing, keeps that vasoconstriction sustained, even when you're just sitting still, that's something to mull over.
Welcome back to the deep dive. We're jumping into general physiology today.
Specifically homeostasis, the big one.
The big one, yeah. And if you send us your academic notes on this, this is, it's the absolute foundation of all biology.
It really is.
Our mission here isn't just to, go over the basics. It's to pull out the key insights on how your body right now, as you're listening, is maintaining this perfect balance.
And it does it using 3 completely different, almost contradictory control systems.
Right. So the core idea, it's pretty simple on the surface.
Homeostasis is just the maintenance of a constant internal environment, but that environment is very specific.
It's not just your temperature or something.
No, it's the extracellular fluid, the ECF. It's that little ocean all of your cells are floating in. It has to be perfect for you to survive.
And the really critical insight from our sources is that this isn't a passive thing.
Not at all.
The function of literally every system, digestive, nervous, you name it, is dedicated to this one mechanism.
It's a classic loop, really. You have a sensor or a receptor that notices something is off.
Okay.
That sends a signal to a control center, the integrator, which figures out what to do.
And then the effector carries out the command.
Exactly. And that command is where we see those 3 different systems: the reverser, the accelerator, and the anticipator.
Okay, so let's start with the default setting: negative feedback control. The reverser.
This is the one you see most often, and it's the simplest. It reacts to a change to arrest it or reverse it.
Keep pulling it back to normal.
Pulling it right back. We see it all the time.
Right.
Take thyroxine, the thyroid hormone.
Right.
When thyroxine levels get too high in your blood, that increase actually inhibits the pituitary gland from secreting TSH.
So less TSH means less thyroxine gets made.
Exactly. The deviation stops the source of the deviation. It's a self-correcting loop.
It's always trying to get back to that middle ground. We see it with water balance too, don't we? ADH.
Antidiuretic hormone, yeah. If you're dehydrated, your body releases it to hold on to water. It detects the problem and reverses it. That's routine maintenance.
But sometimes you need the opposite. You need to hit the gas.
Right. And this is where it gets really interesting. Positive feedback control, the accelerator.
Which seems so counterintuitive. Why would the body ever want to make a deviation worse? To accelerate it?
Because sometimes speed is survival. This is the crisis mechanism.
So these are rare.
Very rare and always contained. Look at blood clotting. Once a tiny bit of thrombin is formed.
That's the clotting factor.
Right. That little bit of thrombin actually stimulates the formation of more prothrombin activator, which makes more thrombin. It's a cascade.
It just accelerates the whole process.
Rapidly. It has to stop you from bleeding out.
Okay, but wait. If it accelerates, what stops your entire circulatory system from turning into one giant clot?
That's the key. These systems have to have a hard, predictable stop.
An off switch.
A built-in off switch. The acceleration stops when the job is done, when the clot is formed. Same thing with, say, parturition or the milk ejection reflex. Oxytocin drives them, but they stop once the outcome is achieved.
So routine maintenance versus emergency action. That makes sense. But the third type is, well, it's just mind-bending. Feed-forward control. The biological fortune teller.
It's fascinating. This system doesn't wait for a deviation. It anticipates one is coming and acts to avoid it happening at all.
How does it even do that? It's not magic.
No, it's complex nervous system timing. It relies on learned patterns. Our sources point to the cardiovascular system getting ready for exercise.
You mean your heart rate and blood pressure increase before you even start moving?
That's exactly it. You haven't started, but your body knows you're about to.
It's humbling to think my stomach starts secreting gastric juice before I even sit down to eat.
That's another perfect example, the anticipatory secretion, or the surge in luteinizing hormone, LH, just before ovulation. The body is predicting its future needs.
So what happens when this incredible juggling act breaks down?
Well, that's homeostatic imbalance, and that's really the starting point for disorders and diseases.
Things like stress, sleeplessness, just aging.
All of it can disrupt the balance, and the consequences can be anything from acidosis to diabetes mellitus or heart failure. The body just fails to reverse or accelerate or predict the right way.
So when you step back and look at it all, the body is in this constant dance. It's balancing this tireless reversal with, these necessary contained bursts of acceleration.
And this unbelievably complex layer of prediction on top.
Right. And focusing on that feed-forward part, the body constantly guessing what you're about to do, it really makes you think. How much of our physical well-being is based not on reaction at all, but on biological guesswork, something for you to mull over.